Hey everybody, I have a little bit of a different tutorial today. It's going to be how to have multiple external audio editors in Ableton. Normally, you can only have one, but today we're going to be able to pick from a drop-down of many different software, however many you want. Now, this idea is not original. I actually saw it originally from this YouTube channel called Perfect System here, but they show you how to do it on Macs and they don't show how to do it on Windows. So if you do need to know how to do it on Mac, you can go ahead and follow that video, which I may link in the description. But if you're on Windows like me, then you can go ahead and follow this tutorial and get this set up for yourself. It's a little bit tedious, but once it's set up, then you're good to go. And just a preface before we start, I'm not a programmer. I just happen to use Python a lot at work. Being in VFX, it's kind of like related. So these scripts won't be the most efficient, most beautiful things in the world, but they should work. All right, let's just get started. So I shared two links in the description of two different things you need to download, okay? One of them is Python, and the other one is the actual scripts themselves that I wrote. So we're gonna start with Python. So you're gonna see this Python page here. So python.org downloads Windows, all right? And we're gonna go ahead and hit Control F, and we're gonna type in 3.12.0. Okay, this is gonna take us to Python 3.12. which is what I wrote this in. So if you want to be sure that it works, just use Python 3.12. If you know what you're doing and already have Python, you can ignore this. But if you have no idea what's going on, just download this. Okay, so then you just want to use the Windows installer that makes sense for you. I have a 64-bit machine. If you're curious what machine you have, you can just go over here, type system, and then it'll say system information. And it says system type x64 based PC. I'm not really sure what it would say for the other ones, but that is 64-bit right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and download this. Okay, so now we have that file, and then we're gonna go on over to the other page that I linked and download the zip, which is just these three scripts here. Okay, with those two files downloaded, I'm just gonna go ahead and go in here, and I'm going to open the folder that these are downloaded in. So it just happens to be my downloads folder. All right, and then I'll just go ahead and minimize the web pages. Okay, so now we should have two files, a zip file and a Python file. The first thing we're going to do is extract the zip file. So I'm just going to click on this, right click, extract all, extract. There we go, and it just popped up a new window. And I'm just going to go into the folder that it popped up, grab these three files, drag and drop them into the downloads folder out here. There we go. And then now I can delete these two folders, just like this. Okay, and then now we should end up with four files: the Python installer, the Python script, a bat script, and this text script. If you're not seeing these extensions, you can just go to View, Show, File Name Extensions. If you're on Windows 10, I don't have Windows 10, so I can't really show that, but hopefully the steps look the same to you. Okay, and now with these four files here, we are ready to start. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to install Python. So we're going to choose this Python installer. Make sure it's not the script here, but the actual installer. We're going to double click it. Okay. And we're going to have this menu right here. We are not going to add python.exe to path. I'm assuming that you might have Python and you don't want to change what your system Python is. So we're just going to leave this off. We're going to leave this checked off, and we're just going to install it because we don't really need it to be the path environment variable anyway. So once it's done here, we're just going to go ahead and hit close. I'm just going to ignore this message here. And then now we want to choose where our app is going to go. You can choose anywhere on your system. It could be your desktop, it could be documents, music, wherever. It can be anywhere you want. However, you want to choose somewhere where where you know the software will be, just in case you have to make changes to it. Okay, so for me, I'm going to go ahead and just right click on a file explorer, make a new one. And I'm going to go ahead and go to my music folder. Let's just make one right here. So I'm in my music folder, new folder, and I'm going to call this Ableton app. Then I'm going to go inside of this folder right here. And this is where we're going to have the stuff that actually does something. So the first thing we're going to do is create new folder, and I'm going to name it Ableton app select. Just like this, then hit enter. And then what we want to do is drag and drop the three script files into this folder. So make sure it's not the installer. This is the installer. Here are the script files: app options, app launch, Ableton audio selector app version 1. Okay, with all three selected, I'm just going to drag and drop, and it says move. Perfect. Okay, so if we go in here, you can see that it worked. So let me go back. With those 3 files in there, now next to this folder, I'm going to create another folder like this, and then I'm going to name it Ableton venv. Enter. Okay, and just for clarity, let me close this folder right there. Here we go. Now we just are seeing what we need to see. So with our 2 folders next to each other, we're going to go ahead and hold Shift, right-click the Ableton venv folder we just created, and go down to Copy as Path. Okay, now the path to this folder is in your clipboard, so make sure you don't copy anything else. Don't Control-C anything else, okay? Because we're going to utilize this for speed on the next section here. So now with that in your clipboard, we're going to go ahead and go to the search, type CMD, open command prompt here, move this here. So now you're going to type in your first command. So your first command is going to be py space dash 3.12. This is specifying which Python to use, which is why we don't need the path. Space dash m space venv space, and this is where you're going to hit Control V and then paste in the path that we copied earlier. Then hit enter. Okay, and it looks like nothing failed because I didn't get any sort of error message, and a Python virtual environment was just made. Now we are going to type in cd space and then again Control V. Then hit enter. And now we should be inside of that folder that we just created, wherever it is on your system. Now that we are in that folder, type in capital S scripts / activate.bat, and make sure you type it exactly like this or it won't work, because any misspellings or anything like that will obviously be a problem, especially the capital letter here on scripts. So we're going to hit enter here, and you'll know it worked because in parentheses will be the name Ableton venv here. So this is how you know that it worked, and we are working in this virtual environment here. So now that this says Ableton venv, we're going to type in pip space install space custom tkinter, just like this. Then we're going to hit enter. So all we installed right now is the module that makes up this app pretty much. Now that we've done that, we're going to type in pip again space list enter. And now we can see, okay, custom tkinter was definitely installed. So that looks like we're good to go. We can go ahead and close this. Go into Ableton app select, and we're going to go to this app launch.bat, and we're going to right click it. So right click, edit in Notepad. Okay, and now we have this in Notepad, and right here where it says see your Python venv path here, python.exe, this we're going to take out. So I'm going to select this, backspace it out, and then I'm going to hit Control V one last time, just like this. So I hope you can see now why it was so important to copy that path, because we've used it quite a lot now. Now with that pasted, we're going to delete the quotes. So delete the quote at the back end and the front end here, just like this. And now your path should look like this. Now at the end, we're going to type / and then again, capital S scripts / python.exe. Okay, so make sure that you have this capital S here and that Python is written out exactly like this. Okay. And now with this put into place, let me just go ahead and hit enter right there so that there is a space again between these two. Perfect. Then I'm going to hit File, Save. Perfect. So now that is saved and this should be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of Notepad. Okay, with that done, the last 2 steps we're going to do here is adding our external software into this text file and then opening Ableton and setting up stuff in Ableton. So first, we're going to open up this app options.txt. So just double click it. It should open in Notepad. All right, and you can see two examples already here. So this is what it's going to look like whenever you add software. So in order to show you how to do this, let me just delete these out of here. Those are just examples, but we're going to add them manually together so you know how to do this. So again, this is adding as many external audio editors as you want. So I'm going to go down here to the search bar, and the first one I want to use is Melodyne. So I'm going to type in Melodyne, and then I'm going to right click it, open file location. Okay, and we see here that it is a shortcut type of file, and we don't want that. We want the actual application. So I'm going to right click again, open file location, and perfect. We have a .exe and it says application. So what we're going to do here is we're going to hold shift, right click, copy as path, and then we're going to go back to our notepad and paste it in, just like this. And now your software is added. The only other thing you need to do is get rid of these quotes. So get rid of the quote at the back end right there and at the front end right here. And then you just go ahead and save it. So file save. Now, if we want to add another software, we're just going to go to the end here, hit enter for a new line, and let's go look for our second software. So I'm going to go ahead and use RX, of course. Right click, open file location. Again, this is a shortcut, so we don't want that. Right click again, open file location. And there we go, there's our application. So again, we hold shift, right click, copy as path, jump over to notepad, and paste it onto that new line. Just like that, get rid of the quotes. And there's your second software added. And then you can just keep on adding more and more and more and more, as many as you want. So let me backspace that out. Now, just as a warning, I would just make sure that you don't have random spaces at the end or at the beginning, or that you have spaces between software like this. You just want it to be one line after the other of software after software, okay? So just remember, if you ever want to come back to this file, you can always come back and edit this file at any time. I'm going to close it for now. Let me close all of these extra windows that we don't really need, just like that. And now it is finally time to launch Ableton. So let's launch Ableton. Ableton, click. Okay, so my Ableton has launched, and I'm going to go ahead and go to Options up here, Preferences, and then we're going to go to File Folder. Click there, and you'll see right here, Sample Editor and Browse. We want to browse for our BAT file. So let's go ahead and just hit browse. And then I'm going to go to where I know I put this app. So music, Ableton app, and then Ableton app select. And you won't see anything. And that's because down here, it's only filtering out EXEs and whatever column is. We want to choose all files. And now we should see our app launch.bat. So go ahead and left click that, hit open. And it looks like it is set up. It didn't give us any error message, and it says app launch.bat. So it looks like everything is working. Let's go ahead and test this. So I'm just going to record something really quickly. Let's do this. Test. Hello, everybody. Test 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now we have audio to work with right here. I'm going to left click the audio, double click it actually, and then we should see the edit sign right here. Click it. Now it will give you this warning message because it's unsure what this file is. Of course, you can always cancel and just run away from this tutorial and just not do this. That's totally fine. The code is there for you to see and check yourself though, if you'd like. We're going to go ahead and just hit run. Okay. And as you can see, here is the app itself. So all it does is it just selects which software you want to use. So we'll start off with Melodyne. So I'm going to choose Melodyne, hit confirm. And there you go. It opens up this audio in Melodyne, and then you can edit to your heart's content, file, replace audio, and then it will replace the audio and you're good to go. Then close it. And then right here it says press any key to continue. So press the key to continue. And then let's go ahead and try our other software. So I'm going to hit edit again, run again. You can always uncheck this so that it doesn't show you that every time, but I'm going to leave it on for now. Okay. And then I'm going to choose Isotope RX. Hit confirm. There you go. So as you can see, everything is working. And then of course you can edit, file, override original file, and you're good to go. Press any key to close. And that is pretty much it. So like I said earlier, you can add as many software as you want. Let me go back to our app options here. So I'm just going to double click this. And then let me just go ahead and duplicate this like that. And then save, file, save. You don't have to do this part. This is more just as a demonstration. But if I go ahead and hit edit again, run, you'll see that there are now 4 different options. Of course, 2 of them are duplicates, but this is just an example and it will still work. There you go. So yeah, you can update that at any time. You don't really need to restart Ableton or anything like that. Okay, so yeah, I hope that this helped you, and I hope that this tool makes your life way easier, because it definitely made mine way easier, as it was extremely annoying to constantly go in here and constantly change this every time I wanted to use a different software, because sometimes I need to jump back and forth. I hope you were able to get this working, and if you have any questions, I will do my best to try and answer all of them. However, like I said at the beginning, I am not a programmer, so I have very, very limited knowledge of Python, and if you have a very specific problem, I might not be able to help out, but I'll do my best. Of course, feel free to edit away and make this app your own and add your own features and whatnot. I mean, you can edit any of these. You can just edit with any Notepad app. I'm going to just choose Notepad++. But yeah, as you can see, you can go into the code. You can change the app size and the Windows Center, all kinds of stuff. You can add to it, do whatever you like. It's all up to you. I personally will be adding maybe a few more features to mine, and maybe even just releasing it as a tool without having to do all of this setup. But that's only if I have time, and I really don't have time often these days to do much on this YouTube channel, so it'll probably wait a long while. Okay, so yeah, happy mixing, happy musicking, or whatever audio stuff you're doing. Hope this helps. Have a good day, and bye. Hey guys, post-video Mario here, and I'm just taking a minute to let you know that finally, after all these years, I have a PayPal donation page. So if you find anything that I make useful and you have the means to do so, feel free to donate. And if you don't have the means to do so, then don't feel obligated to have to donate. I don't believe in paywalling anything that I make, so that's why this page exists, because I just want people to donate if they ever feel like donating, not by paywalling stuff or having Patreon or anything like that. I'm not against that. I just don't want that for my own channel. I want people to always freely have the information. So yeah, that'll be up indefinitely. And yeah, you can find that link in the description or on my channel. There should be a link also on the homepage for that. Okay, so I hope whatever you watched was helpful or enjoyable. And yeah, I'm gonna sign off here. All right, bye.